wind howled through the empty streets of Willow Creek, a speck of a town where dreams went to rust alongside the old grain silos. Caleb Holt, 13 and nonish, leaned against the hood of his battered Chevy pickup, the cold biting through his flannel shirt. His hands, one, rough from years of carving wood into furniture, clutched a thermos of black coffee, its warmth a faint shield against the ache in his chest. 3 years ago, he'd buried his wife, Sarah, Okilananafornian, after a drunk driver stole her breath on a Tuesday afternoon. Now for one. It was just him and his 8-year-old son, Jasper, Ninrashimana Jorinkami, who still asked why the stars looked sadder at night. Caleb didn't have answers, only calluses and a stubborn will to keep going. He was heading home from the hardware store, Jasper humming off-key in the passenger seat. When he saw her, she stood outside Prestige Motors, the only place in town that sold cars no one could afford. Her coat was too thin for the March chill, her boots caked with mud, and her arms hugged a frayed tote bag like it held her last shred of dignity. A salesman in a slick suit barked something Caleb couldn't hear, but the woman's flinch told him enough. She turned, shoulders sagging, and started walking toward nowhere. Jasper's voice broke the silence. Desermed. Why she looked so lost? Caleb didn't answer. Something in her defeat mirrored the weight he carried, the kind that didn't show but pressed harder every day. He pulled the truck to the curb. Stay here, bud, he said, ruffling Jasper's hair, stepping into the wind. He jogged across the street, his work boots thudding against the pavement. She didn't notice him until he spoke, voice low to keep from startling her. Marina was, you need a ride somewhere. She turned, eyes like a storm caught in a bottle, gray. D is deep and wary. Her face, though worn, held a quiet beauty, like a painting left too long in the rain. You don't know me, she said, suspicion sharpening her tone. Don't need to. Don't need to, Caleb replied, hands in his pockets. Saw what happened back there. Nobody deserves that. If you're trying to get somewhere safe, my boy and I can take you. I'm Caleb. Jasper's in the truck. We're no trouble, I swear. She glanced past him, where Jasper waved from the window, his grin bright enough to crack the gloom. Her guard softened. Just a fraction. All right. You're on telephone announcements, she whispered. I'm Lena. The drive was quiet, the truck's heater rattling like it was on its last legs. Lena sat in the back, staring out the window as Willow Creek's faded storefronts blurred by. Jasper kicked his feet, oblivious to the tension, humming a tune from a cartoon Caleb couldn't place. At the edge of town, Lena pointed to a rundown motel, its neon sign flickering vacancy like a half-hearted promise. She stepped out, pausing at the door. Thank you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. For seeing me, Caleb nodded. Lena. She walked away, and he waited until her shadow disappeared into the motel's dim lobby. Jasper tilted his head. She's nice, Bixero, Sesabranchanet. Atin, Chier. Caleb said, pulling onto the road. She is. The next morning, Caleb found a paper bag on his porch, tied with twine. Inside was a thermos of coffee, still warm, 2 apple scones, and a note in careful cursive. For a stranger who stopped, was her room, Lena. He read it twice, the words settling into him like a song he hadn't heard in years. Jasper snatched a scone, crumbs flying. She's gotta be a baker. Dad array team. This is awesome. Caleb smiled, but his mind was elsewhere. Lena's note wasn't just gratitude. It was a confession of being unseen, maybe for longer than she could bear. He sipped the coffee, strong and bitter. And wondered what kind of life left a woman like her stranded in a place like this. By noon, he was sanding a walnut table for a client when his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you again, Caleb. If you ever need a friend, kindness comes back. He stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the reply button. She had no phone when he'd met her, no purse. In na you watch her in different motion. Nothing but that battered bag. Yet here she was, reaching out. He typed, anytime mem. Tuefron mama shor de winman. Lena, Fori, in. Stay safe, and hit send before he could overthink it. Days passed, and Lena lingered in his thoughts like sawdust on his clothes. Subtle, stubborn, impossible to shake. He didn't tell anyone, not because she was a secret, but because she felt like a question he hadn't earned the answer to. Who was she? Why Willow Creek? And why did her eyes hold a story she wasn't ready to tell? On the fourth day, the air turned sharp, heavy with the promise of rain. Caleb was fixing a fence for Mrs. Delaney when a low hum broke the quiet. He looked up, and his breath caught. A Bentley, black and gleaming, rolled into his driveway. As out of place as a diamond in a coal mine, Jasper, Maria One, playing nearby, froze. Whoa, Dad, is that a spaceship? Caleb wiped his hands on his jeans, heart thudding. The driver, a man in a crisp suit, stepped out and opened the back door. No one emerged. Instead, he walked toward Caleb, holding an envelope sealed with wax. For Mr. Holt, he said, voice clipped, and handed it over before returning to the car. The Bentley purred away, leaving only dust and questions. Caleb stared at the envelope. Ivory and heavy, his name written in that same cursive. Jasper tugged his sleeve. Open it, Dad, or son on. But Caleb hesitated. Whatever was inside felt bigger than a thank you, bigger than a scone or a note. He slipped it into his pocket and went back to work, though his mind was anywhere but the fence. That night, after Jasper was asleep, Caleb sat at the kitchen table, the envelope unopened before him. The house was quiet, save for the tick of the clock and the faint creak of the floorboards. He broke the seal, fingers steady but heart unsteady. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The words elegant and deliberate. Dear Caleb, I've spent years surrounded by people who saw what I had, not who I was. You didn't ask for my story or my worth. You just offered a ride. That small act reminded me of a part of myself I'd buried. I'm leaving soon, but I needed you to know what you did mattered. If you ever need anything, call this number. No questions, just my name. Below was a phone number. Nothing else. Caleb read it again, then folded the paper carefully, like it might crumble under scrutiny. She wasn't just a woman down on her luck. She was running from a life. A name, maybe a past she couldn't outrun. And yet, she'd stopped long enough to leave this. He didn't call, not yet, but he kept the letter in his toolbox, tucked beside the chisels and sandpaper, a reminder that some things were worth holding on to. A week later, Caleb was at the diner, sipping coffee while Jasper colored on a placemat. Miss Ellie, who'd run the counter since before Caleb was born, leaned over with a knowing smile. Heard you had a fancy car in your drive. You holding out on us. Already a wordy year sindor to Mom. Caleb chuckled. Just a delivery. Ellie, nothing to tell. She raised an eyebrow. That's what they all say when a ghost rolls into town. He didn't push back, but her words stuck. Lena wasn't a ghost, but she was a mystery, one that didn't fit Willow Creek's predictable rhythm. He paid the bill and drove to the library, letting Jasper hunt for dinosaur books while he wandered the stacks. A worn copy of The Alchemist caught his eye. He pulled it down, and inside the cover, in faded ink, was a note. To Ali, for when you feel lost. Grandma V, his pulse quickened. Lena, it was a long shot, but the coincidence felt like a breadcrumb. At the desk, he asked the librarian, Mrs. Vernon still come by? The one who donates books? The young assistant nodded. Thursdays. She's quiet, but she always brings something special. Caleb thanked her. Mind racing. Mrs. Vernon, Grandma V. If Lena was tied to her, maybe she wasn't as alone as she seemed. He didn't know why it mattered so much. But it did. She mattered. That Sunday, a call came early, before the sun had burned off the fog. A woman's voice, calm but firm, asked for someone to repair woodwork at an old estate on Clover Hill. I was told you're the best, she said. Caleb didn't trust flattery, but the job was close, and something in her tone pulled him in. He agreed to come by. The Clover estate was a relic, its white walls peeling like old skin, its porch sagging under the weight of time. Caleb knocked, and the door opened halfway. There stood Lena, not in the tattered coat, but in jeans and a soft sweater. Her hair pulled back. Her eyes widened, then softened. I didn't know it'd be you. Caleb exhaled, a grin tugging at his lips. You asked for a woodworker. I didn't expect one who'd seen me, she said, stepping aside. Come in. With Rissa so, the house smelled of dust and memory, its high ceilings and arched doorways whispering of better days. Lena explained the job. Refinish the staircase. Restore the window frames. Serena fix the porch. As they walked through the rooms, Caleb watched her, how her fingers brushed the walls like they held secrets, how her gaze lingered on the light filtering through cracked glass. This was my grandmother's she said. She left it to me, Mrs. Vernon. Caleb asked. Lena's smile was small, surprised. You're good with names. I'm good with people, he said. So, you're Lena Vernon. Just Lena, she corrected, her voice soft but sure. They worked through the morning. Caleb measuring beams while Lena sanded a windowsill nearby. Jasper arrived after a playdate, chasing butterflies in the overgrown yard. Lena watched him, her expression tender. He's a light, she said. Caleb nodded, throat tight. He's what keeps me going. From what? She asked, not prying, just curious. From giving up, he admitted. After Sarah, so Schrödinger was Sardishorntun. I thought I'd forgotten how to feel anything but tired. Jasper wouldn't let me. Lena's eyes held his, steady and warm. I know that kind of tired. They sat on the porch later, sipping tea while Jasper drew in the dirt. Caleb asked. You got someone like that? Someone who keeps you going? She shook her head. I thought money was enough. Then I thought love was heard at Heenum. Turns out, it's just presence. Someone who doesn't ask you to be anything but you. Caleb leaned back. Someone who stays. Econom, she said, and the word felt like a vow. The days that followed were a quiet rhythm. Caleb worked on the estate. Lena helped when she could, and Jasper filled the gaps with laughter. One afternoon, as they stained porch planks, Lena laughed, a sound so free it stopped Caleb mid-brush. What does Finituruam? She asked, catching his stare. You don't laugh like someone who's hiding, he said. Her smile faded. Just a touch. I used to. Before I learned to be smaller, he set the brush down. Who taught you that? A man who thought love meant control, she said, her voice steady but raw. I left 2 days before the wedding. Took a bag. No phone, and ended up here. Caleb's chest tightened. That's not love. That's a cage. Varajitwanin, Saran and then the Ramones. She nodded. I know that now. They worked in silence, the kind that didn't need filling. Lena wasn't just a runaway, she was rebuilding. Board by board, laugh by laugh. And Caleb, without meaning to, was part of it. One evening, as they finished dinner, soup and cornbread, nothing fancy, a knock rattled the door. Sharp, insistent. Caleb froze. Lena's spoon clattered to the table. Jasper peeked from the couch. Is it a robber? Way you to Wernendor's eat go my kunun. Stay there. Tushukumen, dear, Caleb said. Moving to the door, he opened it to a man in a black coat. Silver hair, eyes like a hawk. Mr. Holt. Who's asking? Caleb said. Hand on the frame. We're looking for Missile, Lena Vernon. The man said, glancing past him. Lena was already there, face pale. I told you not to come. Miss Vernon, your father needs you. Your absence is problematic. My father needs control, she snapped. Not me. The man's jaw tightened. You're the heir to Vernon Enterprises. This isn't sustainable. I'm not hiding, she said, voice breaking. I'm living -1. He handed her a card, said, call when you're ready, and left. Lena shut the door, her hands shaking. Caleb stepped closer. You okay? I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to drag you into this. You didn't drag me, he said. I'm here. Jasper ran over, hugging her legs. Don't go. Lena. Narananad. She knelt, kissing his forehead. I'm not going anywhere. Kid 181. But she did. The next morning, Caleb woke to find a note on his porch. I need to fix this. I'll be back. His heart sank. Not from anger, but from the quiet that followed. The house felt hollow without her laugh. Her presence when Jasper stirred his cereal, eyes down. She'll come back. Right. I hope so, Caleb said, because it was all he had. Days turned to weeks. Caleb worked. Jasper drew one, but the absence of Lena was a shadow neither could shake. Then when. One evening, an email arrived. Subject: to the man who saw me. Caleb's hands trembled as he opened it. Caleb, I left because I thought I'd break what we had. I've spent my life believing I wasn't made for good things, but you and Jasper showed me I might be wrong. I'm settling things with my father. Not for him, but for me. I want to come back. Not as Lena Vernon, but as me. Wait for me. Our May. Oh, he typed back. Doors open. Always. A month later, the Bentley returned. Caleb was on the porch, sanding a chair. When it pulled up, Lena stepped out, not in a dress or a coat, but in jeans and a sweater, her eyes bright with something new. Freedom. She walked up the path, stopping at the steps. I didn't call, she said, breathless. You didn't need to, Caleb replied. Standing, he held out a hand, and she took it, her fingers warm against his. Jasper burst through the door, tackling her. You're back, she laughed, tears spilling. I am in, buddy. For good. Inside, Lena handed Caleb an envelope. He opened it to find a deed, the Clover estate, now in his and Jasper's names. It's not a gift, she said. It's a home, for us to build something real. Caleb's throat tightened. You sure? I've been managed, Suri Dirrington, admired. Ninana Sonoduwan, controlled I'm, certain everyone in wisdom, she said. But with you, I'm seeing a Silverwarn, Suneborn. That's all I want. He pulled her close, Jasper between them, and the world felt whole again. The estate became the Holt Vernon Workshop, a place for second chances, woodworking classes for veterans, art programs for kids, a space where broken things found new purpose. Lena stayed, Yeoman, not as an heiress, but as a partner, Sonhasa Sharmi, a friend. Bahlight. Irrelight. One night, under a sky thick with stars, Caleb and Lena sat on the porch swing. Jasper slept inside, a piece of sea glass from Lena clutched in his hand. You ever think, she asked, how many things had to break for us to find each other? Caleb smiled. And how many had to mend? She leaned into him, and the swing creaked. Steady and sure, love didn't arrive with fanfare. It came quietly, like a note left on a porch, a hand extended, a door left open. And in that silence, they built a life, not perfect, but theirs. Hello, wonderful listeners. Thank you for joining us in the quiet corners of Willow Creek, where Caleb, Jasper, Yero, and Lena's story of kindness, second chances, and love reminded us that the smallest acts can change lives forever. We're so grateful you spent this time with us, letting these heartfelt moments sink in, wherever you're tuning in from, a small town like ours, a bustling city, Serpent Fort Tui, or somewhere in between. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us where you are and what touched your heart in this story. Your words mean the world to us. If this tale of quiet miracles and open doors warmed your soul, we invite you to hit that subscribe button. It's not about the numbers. It's about making sure you never miss another story that speaks to hope, connection, and the beauty of starting over. Stay kind, keep your heart open, and we'll see you in the next story. Until then, you're sure want to believe in the magic of second chances.